Welcome to the Massage Tools Podcast, your home for cool interviews and reviews. The big question I always ask everybody is, how do you want to see the industry shift in the next 5 to 10 years? Timeline's kind of arbitrary, but how would you like to see the industry shift?
There needs to be two categories of providers. Relaxation, focused, nurturing, loving, calming, physical touch can benefit everybody. That's one category. Anybody can do it. You don't need a high level of training. And the second category, a higher level of training to address conditions, symptoms, etc. That needs to be set. I don't think everybody needs to have a high level of training because, again, you can touch somebody and provide an amazing benefit. So if we could figure out how to separate that would be great. If we can figure out a national license of some sort so people can move to a different city or state and not have to start all over again, that would be a second piece. And then the third piece from a business standpoint is representing the industry and the profession in a way that supports the profession. Oftentimes when I was starting, and I don't say this to be mean or whatever, but I was embarrassed by the profession. It doesn't do us any good when you show up late, or if you're not dressed looking like you actually care, or if your table, one time I'll never forget, for example, I had this therapist we'd sent out to house calls. Well, one day, again, San Francisco, you don't leave your table in the car. So he brought his table in when he came in for a minute, and I looked at that table and I was like, is that the table you bring to clients? He was like, yeah, but it didn't even have a case. And the face cradle was duct taped together. So like we just got to be step it up a game or 2 or 5 or 12. So people have to take it seriously. If this is a business, let's run it like a business. Let's be aware of all the elements of what goes into a successful business. It's not that hard. Yeah. It just needs to be done, and it needs to be thought out, and people need to take it seriously. If it's a hobby, that's a whole different story. Although, again, if you're representing the profession, right, it's sending messages consciously or unconsciously to the consumer. Yeah. And to the referring healthcare providers. For so many people want to be considered part of healthcare and part of the medical team, great, then act it. Educate yourself, be up to speed on stuff. Don't be touting old, drink lots of water to flush out the toxins. Like, just stop the nonsense. Yeah. And it's hard for people, especially if they've never been taught otherwise, and they think that what they're saying is accurate. Well, you have to educate yourself.
Yeah, that's one of those. I've been fortunate to have been in the educator role for a period of time. I taught a course for over 2 years. I taught some courses, and some of it is I'm like, if I find out that you guys are saying any of these myths or pseudosciences, I'm gonna come after you, like, in a playful manner with them. But I'm like, don't. This is wrong. This is categorically wrong. Don't say it. It's things that are out there. Muscles don't get knotted. It's not. And
yeah, it's school for our kids if they're teaching the world is flat. It's literally that obsolete, and it doesn't serve anybody. So you asked me what I would like to see the industry. I'd like to see people step up their game.
Okay, those are fantastic notes, and it's kind of nice that everyone I've had on the show is more or less getting to the same end comments. It's usually either a separation or a lifting up of professional title, professionalism. Those are all very important points. Would you have any advice, since you've been in the field a while, you've been an instructor, maybe something actionable that massage therapists can do other than making sure their table's clean, they're dressed right? And that's excellent advice, but maybe for that separation of professions, do you have any advice on how we might go about that?
Yeah, when you say separation of professions, you mean the 2 tiers that I was referring?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the tiers.
I'm not really sure how to answer it.
Okay.
because there's the legal standpoint, right? The scope of practice and the licensure and that kind of thing. And different states have different licensures based on how many hours, et cetera. I think the most important thing for us as a profession, if we want to have 2 tiers, is to designate what the level of education needs to be for each of them.
Okay.
What the minimum requirements are. And again, I know some of the organizations have tried to do this, and there's bits and pieces of it, but we need to figure out, okay, if someone's going to do the entry level tier, what requirements do they need, and what can they do? So at what point does their scope of practice stop, and where does the other one continue? Just like the difference between physical therapy and massage therapy, there's a lot of overlap.
Sure.
And then there's separation. So we need to be clear on what the separation is.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those, I've asked the question and gotten the answer, but I'm like, I feel like I need to start asking if they have any advice on how to maybe manifest some of these things and put them into action. So thank you for fielding it. You're the first one I've kind of put on the spot. So sorry and thank you.
Again, the profession has to be, there has to be a consensus, though, because not everybody wants that. So that's where I think we keep banging into the wall. Some people say everybody should be at this level of education, and other people say no level of education, anybody can touch, so we're all over the map. Again, I at this point in my career, I stepped back, I distanced myself from the massage profession, and I don't even refer to myself as a massage therapist now. My little tagline is I'm a pain reliever and a mover improver. A pain reliever and mover improver. Anybody who studies the Diamond method can use that as well. But why do I do that? Because again, it's not about the modality, it's about the outcome. So when we're talking about the different tiers and stuff, we can also focus on the outcome. Is the outcome to help somebody with Parkinson's be able to walk easier? Okay, great. Who can do that? Now let's figure that piece out. And then again, is it a matter of a profession, or is it a matter of tools? Or is it a matter of, different levels of education? So we have to figure out what is our goal. Just like in clinic, what is our goal with a client? We have to figure out as a profession, what's our goal? Pretty much the same analogy.
Okay, that's great. So one of my other kind of newer questions to the sequence is, if you had to put something, and this can be about you, this can be about your business, if you had to put something on a billboard, what would you do? Or about massage, etc. as a whole. If you had to put it on a billboard, what would you put on the billboard?
That's an interesting question. But who is the billboard speaking to?
Whoever would drive past the billboard. So it's kind of, think of a billboard on the side of the highway.
All right. So that's funny. So there's a business coach who I know personally, but he's deceased now. His name is Chet Holmes, Holmes. He talks about the stadium pitch. So here, I can't help myself. Can I tell a little story here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so his concept is the stadium pitch. And this is the same thing, right? The billboard. Anybody's driving by, they can look, they cannot look. You want to get their attention. So most people will say, like, buy my stuff, or $10 off, or whatever. And what Chet teaches is you have to have, he says, okay, you've got this whole stadium of people. I'm going to announce you, and I'm going to say to the audience, if you want to get up and leave, you can leave. You don't have to stay. So what are you going to say to grab their attention and to keep them in the stadium? Well, you have to have a message that speaks to more people. So what is that message? That message for me would be something like, from a clinical standpoint, if I want to attract people to get into my treatment room, I would say, do you have pain at a 7 or higher on a 0 to 10 scale? Or I would say, do you suffer from migraines 3 times a month or more? That would be my billboard as a clinical therapist. So people who have that will raise their hand and say yes. Other people drive on by. That's fine. You don't have to appeal to everybody, but you want to appeal to most people. And then as a business coach, I'd say, if you're working part-time which means about 15 hours, and you're making less than $5,000 a month gross revenue, reach out to me, because you should be making $5K, if not more, per month if you're working part-time. If you're working more hours, guess what? You should be making $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, depending on where you practice. But in most places, especially in the U.S., unless you're in a super, super, super teeny tiny town or very low income area, you should be able to make that kind of money.
Okay.
Those are my two billboards. One is a clinician, one is a business coach.
Yeah, those are great. See if we can fit that into a billboard easy. So you don't want people getting in accidents, but the last question I have for you is, again, a little bit of a newer one. What is one question you wish I had asked during the interview? Or you could take it as, what is one question you wish your clients asked you? Either one or both.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I think we covered a ton. I know, like literally I know, because I've worked with therapists in the past, that if they take what we talked about and actually apply it, they can easily add a couple zeros, if not 3, to their revenue.
Okay.
We've covered some super solid strategy. I teach strategy versus tactics. There's a big difference. Most people want tactics,
Sure.
but they have to understand the strategy. Tactic is like, should I do Facebook ads? Well, when I was starting, my tactic was, should I do yellow page ads? Well, guess what? You can learn all you want about yellow pages, but they change. So you have to understand the underlying strategy. So talking about the billboard, that's the strategy. Again, what to put on the billboard. How do you know what to put on the billboard? So that's it. I think you asked some great questions, Kelly.
Well, I appreciate that. I also appreciate you joining us for the interview today. Thank you on behalf of the audience, and thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. I always end up saying information and education without application is opportunities wasted. So please take what you've learned after this time together and do something with it. And if not, reach out to me and I can help.
Awesome. I love that sentiment. That's a perfect one to end on. Thank you for joining us, folks. The mission of Massage Tools Podcast is to inspire. So help us inspire you. Ask questions, leave suggestions in the comments section. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you want to see more content, please click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and hey, check out these links for other videos here.